Good evening. This is Urban Miller. I'm in the process of doing a lot of cooking this weekend. I have to cook ribs, chicken, pork shoulder, beef ribs, barbecued spare ribs, and at this point I'm going to start seasoning a jerk pork shoulder. This is a jerk pork shoulder that I bought, and these are the baby back spare ribs that I'm going to fix later on. So at the present time, I'm in the process of mixing jerk seasoning, because I'm going to jerk this pork shoulder and I'm going to allow it to marinate for a few hours, maybe 3, 4, 5 hours. I have the Boston jerk seasoning. It is mild. I have 2 of those because when I went to the store to try to find the hot jerk seasoning, they were all sold out. So what I did was I took a Scotch bonnet and ground it up, squished it, and I put it inside of the jerk seasoning because the people that I'm going to cook for indicated that they liked hot stuff. So what we're going to do then is we're going to put little holes in the meat. Then we're going to pack the jerk seasoning inside of those little holes that I'm going to place inside of the meat. But I want to take these 2 items here and mix them together. I put a little vinegar in the jerk seasoning because it's kind of on the dry side, and I want it to be a little bit on the liquid side, so that I will be able to control it. As you can see, that's what it looks like coming out of the jar. So this is what I'm doing here. Now, in the meantime, I'm in the process of cooking a couple of slabs of ribs. They're out on the grill. I'm going to go to a wake tonight for one of my friends, one of my neighbors. They live up the street. His wife's sister died, his sister-in-law. So I'm going to take a couple of slabs of ribs to them tonight. I am one of those type of cooks that like to multitask. So I like to do everything as I go along, such as cooking this, cooking that, and mixing these things together. So now that I have placed the jerk seasoning in there, I want to stir it up. As you can see, this should be good and hot, simply because of those Scotch bonnet peppers that's inside of there. Now, one thing about the Scotch bonnet pepper, it's from the islands, it's from Jamaica, Haiti, but it's an excellent flavor for whatever you want to cook Caribbean style. So always remember, if you're going to do the jerk pork, if you're going to do escabeche, you always want to use this. Now, one of the problems that I do have as a cook, I always like to have a drink while I'm cooking. So this is my drink. I'm always drinking a little gin. I don't like strong liquor when I'm drinking or when I'm cooking, simply because I don't want to get drunk. I just want to feel the flow of the food coming through. So one of these little toddies for the body is excellent when you're cooking. Now, what we're going to do, I'm going to take my knife and I want to puncture small holes. I'm going to into the meat. And I'm going to take the jerk seasoning and pack it inside of those holes. That's what I want. I want that jerk flavor to be all the way through my meat as I cook it. So, little jerk flavor, jerk seasoning, puncture the holes. Remember to puncture the holes deep down into the meat because you want to get that seasoning down inside of it, especially when you're cooking a pork shoulder. Now, for you non-pork eaters, I also have some beef ribs that I'm going to cook. So later on in this video, we'll come back and we will I will show you how to prepare beef ribs. And I can jerk it, or I can just plain old barbecue it. But you know, this time right here, we're gonna try a little bit of everything. What I'm cooking for at this point is one of my clients from the real estate side of my life is having a baby shower on Sunday. And he had my meat before, and he felt that it was better to have me to prepare his meat as opposed to having it catered. So I thought that was a very good compliment, yeah, coming from someone who enjoyed my cooking. I'm the type of a cook that enjoy cooking as long as the people that I'm cooking for enjoy my food preparation. Now, if you don't like my cooking, don't criticize it. Just go on down the road, because that might be the last time you'll ever get a chance to taste my cooking, especially if you're the kind that's criticizing. You know, I don't mind criticism, constructive criticism. There's nothing wrong with constructive criticism. It's the best thing in the world for a person to improve oneself. But some people just like that. I don't like that. It's nasty. It's nasty before they even get a chance to taste it. So I don't like cooking for those type of people. As a matter of fact, I try not to have those type of people in my circle of friends because of that. Now, one of the other things that you don't want to do is when you're cooking with jerk, do not use salt. And don't use meat tenderizer, because it's a salt. It's a citrus flavor, but it also has salt. The jerk season is already salty. So be very, very careful when you're cooking, especially when you're cooking with ribs and you're going to have a barbecue sauce to add to it. Remember, the barbecue sauce itself carries salt. So if you don't put the salt on the meat, because of the different types of spices that you're going to use, you're going to find salt in that anyway. So try to stay away from the salt when you're cooking. I mean, salt is an ingredient that everybody loves because it just makes the food taste better. But at the same time, as a cook, you want to make sure that you don't add too much salt to your recipe. Okay? All right, so we're going to pause at this point right here and wash my hands. Washing your hands is very, very important, and especially when you're using the Scotch bonnet pepper, because that pepper stain gets on the hand and it just stays there. And even though you can do 2 or 3 hours later, rub your eye, bam, you start burning. so we're going to pause. As I stated earlier, I said that I was in the process of cooking ribs for this wake that I'm going to go to later on tonight. So I'm cooking on a Weber. I have 2 slabs of ribs on here. As you can see, the ribs are nice and golden. You can see. The thing about this is that I don't like for it to cook really fast, so I'm going to slow it down. And when you're cooking on a Weber, this damper is the most important part to a Weber, for cooking on a Weber, because that is what controls the temperature, the heat. As the wind comes from the bottom, it escapes to the top, blowing over the charcoals, and that is how the heat becomes a major factor. So like right now, I have them half open. So I'm going to close it down a little bit more, simply because it's cooking a little bit faster than what I really want it to cook. So I close it down a little bit more. So now, I'm cooking on 2 grills. This is the other grill. And again, the set of ribs that we're cooking, I'm going to flip them over. I'm cooking 3 slabs of ribs. And over here is my big boy grill. Whew. This is the bucket that I use to start my charcoals. I use the bucket because I don't like to use the lighter fluid to get the fluid all over the meat, and it gives it a bad taste. So I'm going to close this because I want to heat it up. I'm going to use it later on in order to cook the pork shoulder and some of the other things that we're cooking. So I'm going to put it on pause again. This is my backyard. This is my castle that I enjoy myself when I'm doing my own leisure time. Excellent. Okay, I'm back in the kitchen. I've had the opportunity to turn the meats, the ribs that's on the grill, back to the jerk shoulder. Now, what I'm going to do here with the jerk shoulder is I'm going to put it inside of this pan. Place it in the pan. I'm going to wash my hands. Woo-hoo. Okay. Hand washing here. You always want to be in a position to wash your hands. Hand washing is great. Okay. So sometimes you might have the tendency to forget to wash your hands, which is fine. If you're a good cook and you know what you're touching, you're not that much afraid of salmonella. Especially when you're cooking chicken, you definitely want to make sure you're on top of everything with the salmonella. All right, so now I'm placing the jerk seasoning on top of this pork shoulder. Oh man.